Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Really glad to sit down here with Vince from Pi. Don't really know a whole lot about the project, but I enjoyed his personality and I'm really happy to take the time. So Vince, thank you so much for sitting down, my friend.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. So, who's the man behind Pi?
So tell you a little bit about myself.
Sure.
To kick off. So I'm a recent graduate from Stanford. Did my MBA there. Have actually spent a lot of my time in community organizing, grassroots organizing, doing nonprofit work. And a lot of what led me into the crypto rabbit hole was the idea that you could use cryptocurrencies and blockchains to more sustainably fund social good, right? We live in a world where the people that tend to try to do good for society often end up with no money in their bank account, for better or for worse, right? And so when I first, kind of stumbled into Bitcoin and started to see kind of these communities growing up around Bitcoin and Ethereum, these other cryptocurrencies, I said, hey, there's a really powerful economic tool that we may be able to potentially leverage to address some of the social ills that we have in the world. So growing wealth inequality, you have people that are increasingly feeling left behind by the economy and how it works. And so I founded a group at Stanford called the Stanford Blockchain Collective, which was about 750 Stanford students that were studying blockchain and cryptocurrencies and trying to understand what the real impact could be for everyday people. And after that, basically teamed up with two PhDs from Stanford to bring cryptocurrency to the masses and everyday people, and that was the beginning of Pi.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm definitely with you. Mass adoption is the key. If we don't get a lot of people using this stuff, we're not doing anything here. So, but why Pi? Why a project? And what's different about Pi? What do you?
Absolutely. So, so my teammates and I, we were basically asking this question of okay, what would it really take for us to bring cryptocurrencies to the masses? And we did a kind of a design-inspired, user-centric, human-centric design process to understand what were the real obstacles or barriers to cryptocurrency adoption and how could you actually solve those. And what we found is that first of all, it was just too damn hard to use, right? It's too hard to access for everyday people. And then the second thing is that the value proposition wasn't incredibly clear for people. They weren't sure exactly what cryptocurrency was or why it would make a difference for them outside of the folks that were, making money really in more speculative use cases, so trading and all that type of stuff.
Right.
And so we came to the conclusion that we really needed to be able to build a cryptocurrency from the ground up that was more accessible and that would give people access to what we see as kind of the killer app for blockchain, which is mining. Being able to basically contribute and participate in securing a distributed ledger and earning cryptocurrency rewards for that. And so Pi basically reimagines Bitcoin from the ground up in a way that is much more user-friendly, much easier for people to use, much more fun and much more accessible.
Okay. Now, you said, you referenced Bitcoin there. Is this, so is Pi, programmatically, are we talking about a project that's built on top of Bitcoin, or are we talking about a layer 1 blockchain? Is this a layer 2 to Ethereum? Tell me
absolutely.
what we're talking about here.
So we actually, it is a layer 1 solution. It's actually something that we actually want to eventually be full stack. And the reason that we made that choice is because we believe that we actually needed to make blockchain and this cryptocurrency accessible literally from the protocol layer all the way up. We actually needed to make mining the currency and the consensus algorithm something that was also intuitive and accessible to people. And listen, I'm a huge fan of Bitcoin, and I'm very happy for proof of work and the fact that it's expensive, and that's what basically keeps me sleeping at night, right? Knowing that my Bitcoin will be secure. And at the same time, we have to acknowledge that the everyday person isn't going to, pick up a 20-page manual and learn how to set up a server in their home to mine Bitcoin, right? If they want to have a good shot at it. And so Pi uses a completely different consensus algorithm that essentially allows everyday people to actually participate in the process of securing the currency and to mine the currency from the convenience of a mobile phone application.
Okay, so you guys have built a new blockchain.
Yes, we're in the process of building it.
Okay, yes. So layer 1 protocol. And, so is it, if you're able to mine from your cell phone, now, when Bitcoin was launched, I'm sure you could have mined from your cell phone if mobile development would have been where it was then that it is today.
Right.
So when you're, are you taking a proof of work approach, or what is your consensus approach?
Yeah, exactly. So actually, the first thing I'll say is that a lot of people actually don't realize that in the early days of Bitcoin, you could essentially mine the currency for the cost of computing power, right? So you could fire up just a PC, or even, back then potentially a mobile phone, and you would have been able to earn upwards of 10 Bitcoin every, or 50 Bitcoin, 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, right? So it's like, that would have been a nice situation.
You're earning more than 10 right now. For
exactly.
A few more months.
Yeah, until I think it's May 2020, right? So for Pi, what we did is we had to take a step back from proof of work, because it's fundamentally not very easy for people. Nobody wants to burn their battery, basically like mining cryptocurrency.
Just got a new phone yesterday.
Okay, right. Exactly.
Too much YouTube.
Yeah,
too much YouTube.
Yeah, sure, right. And so basically what we're doing is we're taking the Stellar consensus protocol.
Okay.
And part of this, by the way, is we actually did a survey of different consensus protocols, right, to understand what would be the most user-friendly, what would be the most easy to use and access. And Stellar kind of rose to the top. And the way that Stellar works, it's based on something called federated Byzantine agreements. And you can think of this as a progressive voting mechanism, where people go into the Stellar network, you can spin up a node, and then you identify other nodes in the network, and you say, I will only agree to transactions that these 3 people agree to. And essentially, as each node does that, it kind of aggregates into what you might think of as almost like a global trust graph of sorts, right? And so the upside of this then is that cryptocurrency mining is not about burning a lot of energy to prove your trustworthiness. It's based more on leveraging your existing social connections and providing information about who in the world you can and can't trust. And that's how we're enabling people to mine the currency from mobile devices.
So in that sense, so with Pi, you would open up the app, because we're talking about mobile. You spin up a node and you choose who you want to trust in the node, the Stellar federated consensus. And the status of sharing the information of who you trust is the mining process?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
That way that information can be distributed across the network, and other people can build their federated trust systems kind of based off that available
Exactly.
data.
And then the plan is also to eventually have PC nodes as well, right?
Sure.
Which will be responsible for validating transactions. And the idea there is that the graph that gets built by all these mobile phone users is the key input that allows the PC nodes then to understand who can and can't be trusted, who can and can't, whose transactions should and shouldn't be validated.
Sure. Great, man.
Yeah.
Where can people find out more about Pi?
Just go to our landing page. It's minepi.com.
MinePi.
MinePi.com. Very simple. That's PI, as in the Greek letter pi. And it's been a really exciting run, actually. So we came out of stealth, you could say, on March 14th. So Pi Day, 3/14 of 2019. And basically since May, we've now added over 1 million people to the platform.
Cool.
So when it comes to this concept of like mass adoption and cryptocurrency, Pi is actually well on its way to being one of the world's most widely distributed and used cryptocurrencies. So it's been a very, very exciting few months, and we're just getting started to work.
Cool, awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think's going on with cryptocurrency right now? You know, we've had a pretty good year. So, where do you think we're headed?
I mean, I think that we're in the kind of, maturation phase, I think, of cryptocurrency. Obviously, the 2016, 2017 bull market and bubble, as some would call it, was a very exuberant time, you should say, in the crypto space, right? Good time for traders, actually.
Good time for traders.
Right? I think we're now kind of getting to a place where the rubber starts to, hit the road, right? And this is when the true believers are really going to kind of emerge and are going to be doing that really hard work to start to bring real utility to everyday people with this technology. And I think that that's the fundamental challenge. I'm very excited about the long-term prognosis for cryptocurrency and blockchains. I think that we need this technology more now than we ever have before. And at the same time, I'm being realistic about the challenges of really demonstrating the power of this technology to everyday people. I think that the holy grail is basically what I think we're trying to tackle with Pi Network, which is true mainstream mass adoption and true utility, which is why people actually use this stuff. So I think that that's basically, if there's a theme for 2020, I think it's both, it's build, sure, but also like have people use.
Get it in the hands of people.
Yeah, we got to do that, man. It's like, we have to make this a lot more concrete for everyday people, and that's what's really going to catalyze the next wave of crypto adoption.
I hope so, man. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Vince, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, so great talking to you, man. Thanks for the questions. I appreciate it, okay?
Yeah. Awesome.